Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. We will get started with the lesson in just about 14 minutes, but just want to say hi. Thanks for coming. And if it's your first time here, we always start the lesson right on time at 2 o'clock in my time. So that'll be, yeah, about 14 minutes from now. And before we start, we have a little bit of time for questions and saying hi and some announcements and everything like that. Hey, Secretive. Secretive is one of our moderators. Say hi to Secretive if you haven't already. And I'm just watching everyone come in the chat right now. If you're wondering what you can do while you're waiting, I have the prerequisites for the lesson written up on the board. They're kind of a lot. Today's lesson is going to be an advanced topic. In fact, I am surprised that the advanced topic won, because normally it goes, people will pick, they tend to pick the easiest ones in the order that they go. But this week, most people picked the advanced lessons. So I'm really happy. I like teaching more advanced topics. I don't feel like there's enough content for advanced learners out on YouTube. So hopefully this can be helpful to those of you who want something a little bit more advanced from time to time. Let's see who else is here. I see several of my members. If you see people with green chatting, those are members. They have joined the channel, so they're supporting me financially. Oh, hey, Mika. Sorry, did I say Mika? Mika M. Okay, you are Mika today. Everyone say hi to Mika if you haven't already. Just seeing everyone else kind of coming in the chat. Since this is an advanced class, I'm aware that most people studying Korean are not advanced. That's just how it goes with any skill. Not even just Korean, but anything. Most people doing a skill are doing it at the entry level. They've just started, or they're just doing it casually. So you get fewer people who will reach the advanced level than, of course, people who are starting the beginner level. You might have 100 people who are starting the beginner level for every one person that will keep going with it toward a higher level, say intermediate or advanced. So there will be fewer people in our stream today, I expect, but regardless, hopefully for those of you who are out there who are advanced, that you still appreciate this sort of stuff. Just want you to know this is for you. People who are want something a little bit more advanced when they're for practicing Korean. Hey, Mika, yes. Basically, I'm saying, be grateful. No, I'm just kidding. We have a few announcements, though, before we start. First of which is, if you are a Patreon member, you should get the worksheet for today. You can already get it on Patreon. And you'll also get the outline for today's live stream, which is what I'm holding right here, which has all the sentences we're going to do, all the explanations, everything is right here in my hand. And you also get access to these for every single live stream I've ever done since 2018. And that's on Patreon. So if you join there, make sure to get the worksheets. And if you're wondering where you can download them from, where you can find them, check my community tab on my YouTube channel. You'll see a link to a Google Doc. And in there is every single live stream. It has all of the full live streams, the abridged ones, and then links to where you can download these worksheets and outlines on Patreon. So that's probably the easiest way you can, if you're searching for something specific and you don't want to have to wade through this big pile of posts on Patreon, you can just go through that Google document and find everything in there nice and easily. Okay, other announcements are obvious, but if you are a member, one of the green people, the little green people in the chat, they are all members of this channel, and they get access to watch the abridged versions of all of my live streams the same day that they finish. So after this live stream's done, say 4 hours later, you can check on my YouTube channel and you can rewatch the entire thing edited down to about 10 to 20 minutes. So yeah, that's also a benefit of only members, that they get to watch those early. Everyone else can watch them. Of course, I'm not going to restrict my content behind any sort of paid wall ever. But if you are going to, if you want to watch those early, you have to be a member. Everyone else, you'll get access to it later in the week, typically Wednesday or Thursday. Okay. And other announcements. Let's see. I usually show off one of the shirts we have that you can get. Let's see. Which one should I do? I'll do. I think I like this one. Let's do this one. This is I have some merchandise. If you want another way to support me, if you just want to look really cool, I don't know, I think some of them are pretty cool. I have a couple actually in my closet. I try not to wear them too much though, because I want to keep them in good condition, but I do have a few. This one is KeyCat dressed as me. So it's KeyCat with my hat and then like a scarf, and her scarf is colored like my shirt. Anyway, there's some merchandise. You can check that out if you are interested in just another way of supporting me. If not, no worries. No purchase necessary is required for this channel, of course. And that is all of the announcements I have for you today. So feel free to ask any quick questions with the remaining 9 minutes before we start. How do you say perk? Like a benefit, like a perk? Well, the standard word you're going to want to use is benefit, which is 혜택. So a benefit or a perk. This would be a benefit of signing up for a credit card, a benefit of joining my YouTube. Anything like that is a 혜택. 혜택. And of course, if you have any questions that require a little bit more explanation than that, feel free to save them for after the class, and we'll also do another Q&A as soon as this lesson's over. Carrie says, have you seen Shang-Chi? Yes, I liked it. I really liked it. I was surprised because I had very low expectations after watching the trailer. The trailer didn't sell me on it at all. I thought the trailer was poorly made. But then I watched the movie. We're talking about Shang-Chi, you know, the new Marvel movie. And yeah, I went to go see it. It was really cool. So I liked it. No spoilers, just I liked it. It was better than I thought. And it was better than the last one. It was better than Black Widow, I thought. Again, this is unrelated to Korean. I don't know, but it's okay. We haven't started the lesson yet, so anything goes for right now. Billy really trying to take my money, but having mercy or merch. Yeah, no, none of the stuff that I sell is required for learning Korean. Even my books, you don't need my books to learn Korean. You don't need any of my stuff to learn Korean or access this channel. It's just one more way to benefit me, because I always felt like when I was first trying to learn Korean that there was nothing out there at the time, nothing for learning Korean. It was very, very sparse. Like, what's the word? Barren. There was like a couple library books you could get. So I felt like, you know, when I finally, if I can keep doing this for a while, I want to make sure all my stuff's like accessible, because yeah, I was really frustrated trying to find stuff at the time. Nowadays it's easy to, of course, which is great. Talk to Me in Korean is being the largest one. There are also several other, you know, free courses and now tons of YouTube channels teaching it. So, hey, Sophia. Sophia is our first wonderful supporter for today. Let's make sure I spell that right. Sophia, it's actually 10 is that euros or pound? I actually don't know. I just know it's more than $10. Thank you, Sophia. That's very kind of you. Let me do 10 dabs. I hope this works. Thank you. Julia says, good morning. Can I do sesu first? You don't need to raise your hand and ask me if you want to go wash your face. Like you can take a bathroom break. You don't need a hall pass, okay? Someone's like, excuse me, teacher. I just woke up. Can I go wash my face first before class? Yes, do whatever you want. Oh, it's euros. Okay, I wasn't sure because I've never actually been to anywhere in Europe before. Surprisingly, never been to France or England or anywhere. Oh, I see it. Oh, Cheryl. Hey, thank you, Cheryl. Cheryl is our second wonderful supporter for today. Let's see what you wrote. And my sign is now jammed. Well, let me turn off the sign. Where did that go? Oh, yeah, right here. Okay. Just wanted to thank you for all you do for learners like myself. Thanks to you, I have a good foundation in Korean that people are complimenting on. Those people are all way too kind. Yes, that's very nice to say. Thank you. I'm going to give you 10 dabs as well for your support. Let's do a different one. That's It's one benefit of supporting is you get to make me do exercise. I do dabs for every time I get a donation. Thank you to both of you, both Cheryl and Sophia. Come on, Billy. The F is pounds and the E is euros. Okay, well, I always used to think, I thought the F was francs. Because I don't know. I don't know, okay? Give me a break. I'm a Korean teacher, not a European teacher. Is there a European teacher? Is that a job? E is like, yeah, okay, I get that. I can remember that because it does look like an E. I just get confused at the F, thinking the F is like francs or something else. Like, because it's confusing with English because we have pounds, the word pounds in English, and it's LBS, you know, for the weight. Wow. Whoa, Carrie. Is this $50 for promoting Shang-Chi? Thank you. That's amazing. No dab. Thanks for teaching. You sure you don't want me to do 50 dabs? Carrie is our special supporter for today. And the special supporter, the highest supporters for each class, I also put your name at the end of every abridged video. I don't know if you check that. If you watch, for those of you who watch the abridged videos, if you get all the way to the very end, the last like 3 seconds, I have the names of whoever is like, you know, when people do like big donations and stuff, just as like an extra thank you at the very end. It's really short, but it's all the way at the very end, so most people probably don't watch it. Thank you very much. You said no dabs, so let me just do one big dab then. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Yes, all the donations, everything, it goes straight to me. There is no company. Doesn't go to a CEO. There's nobody above me telling me to like do this stuff. So yeah, it directly supports me to buy equipment. That's pretty much what I put it all into, is buying equipment. Yeah. Someone said, have you seen Squid Game? No, I have no interest. Sorry, zero interest in it. Don't knock over the board. Yeah, I'll try not to knock over the board. This thing is the cheapest whiteboard I've ever used, but I'm too cheap to buy a new one. I paid like $70 for this, I think, and or $50 to $70 at the time. And I'm like, I don't want to spend another like $100 to get like a new one. It works. If I buy a new one, it's going to be the exact same thing. And if I buy a bigger one, then you won't be able to see this beautiful scenery behind me. Oops. What did I do? Uh-oh. I think I broke something. Okay, that's not what I wanted. That's not what I meant to do. Uh-oh. Okay, I have to change something later. I think one of the buttons is broken. Okay. Anyway, I changed the folder of my Google Drive, and now everything's messed up. Let's see here. I'm Greek, and I'm learning Korean. Do you think I can do something productive in the future? If your Korean is good enough, why not? Sure. Okay. Yeah, the party just won't stop. My button, it's supposed to turn off my webcam. It's supposed to show... Let me just do it manually. I wanted to show you this beautiful background and say why I don't want to cover it with a larger whiteboard. But yeah. Okay. I think that's everything. Let's get started. So let's get started with our lesson today. Okay. And someone remind me at the end of class, someone remind me to do a pose for a thumbnail for this video. I always forget to do a pose for the thumbnail. Okay. It's 2 o'clock. So, I'm excited. I get to teach an advanced topic. I don't get to do too many advanced topics in this live stream, but I like it. I like not having to make sure my writing's like perfectly clean and everything, which I usually do for the beginner classes. Okay, today we're going to be learning about a form that is 다 보니까. You may have seen it before. But before we actually learn about this form, there's something more fundamental that you should learn first. And that is the form unika. Remember, what we're learning today is advanced level. But in order to learn 다 보니까, you first need to understand this form, unika. Now I know what you're thinking. Billy, I'm a beginning student, but I already know this. I already know this form. You're thinking you already know this form, right? No. Well, you might know this form. This is not the same form, meaning because. This is not the form for because. It is conjugated the exact same way. This is a different form. Why? Because this form is only used with action verbs. This is a different form. Well, not to say you can only use it. This one's used with action verbs. This is not the same form that means because. This is different. It works the same. Sorry, it conjugates the same, but it works a little differently. This form, which you've seen before, but used in a different way, means that someone typically the speaker, whoever's talking, realized something after doing something. Let me say it again. This form is used to say that someone, typically the person who's speaking, realized something, after doing something. So they do something, let's just say 가다, to go. 가니까. So after I went there, after I did that, I realized something. This is not the form for because, although it looks the exact same. In fact, this form unika is actually, this isn't the whole form. This ga is actually optional. So you might have kanika, but you could also have kani. Now this also applies to the form that means because, but in this form, I need to mention it because it connects with the form we're going to be learning today, 다 보니까, in which case it's also optional there. So I'm letting you know it's also optional to use ga here. So this form again shows that the speaker realizes something, but only they realize it after doing something. So after having done something, they realize. That's what this form means. Okay. The most important thing you need to keep in mind for this form, though, is this. This form shows a realization. So if you forget everything about this form, just remember, this form can show some sort of realization. The speaker realizes something. Because we're going to take this form and we're going to combine it with another form to make our form today, 다 보니까. Okay. Now, I'm not going to be giving you any examples of this form. When I do a lesson in the future about 해 보니까, which will be this form, plus this. When I do a future lesson about this, or 보니까 with 고 보니까, when I do either of these lessons, I'll give a more detailed introduction into how this works. For now, though, you only need to know that. Just keep in mind that nika has to do with realizing something. Okay. So that's all we're going to be doing for that form, but you needed to get that introduction so that we can do our main form today. And that is, let me write it up here first. Actually, let me write it a little nicer. You take an action verb stem. So if you have 하다, the stem is going to be 하. If you have 먹다, the stem is just 먹. Easy. Then you attach 다가. So 하다 or 하다가, like that. The 가 here is optional. Most of the time it won't be added. Then you're going to attach 보니까, which comes from the verb 보다. Now here, 보다 is not to try. This is not the trying verb. For example, 해봤어요, 먹어봤어요. I tried it. It's not that 보다. This one is simply to see, to look. Or you can even think of it like to reflect on. Like after you do something, you're going to think about it. You're going to reflect on it in that sort of sense. You're looking back on it. So what is this form then? Well, one of the requirements for this lesson is that you're familiar with 타가. Let me just check the chat actually for a second. Make sure we're doing okay. Make sure someone's not like screaming or saying, please stop, 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 Billy. I can't take this. Okay, yes. So this is a combination of 3 different things. And if you are familiar with those 3 different things, understanding this form becomes easy peasy, lemon squeezy. 타가. What does 타가 mean? I've done a lesson about this before. What does it mean? Write in the chat. What is 타가 used for, or what does it mean? This 타가 ending. Just gonna check the chat. Take a minute. Think about it. While I drink some tea. It's boiling hot. The only bad thing about having a good tumbler that actually keeps the temperature right is that it'll be boiling like 2 hours after you make it. So, whereas like a cheap one, it'll cool down, but this one, like you make it boiling and it just stays boiling. So I guess that's a downside. I don't know. Okay, I'm checking what everyone's writing. While, yep. Doing something and something else interrupts. Yep, that works too. Just after, yes. Technically it is just after, but yeah, that works too. When an action is stopped for another, doing one action and then another. Yep, you're all right. You're all right so far. Without finishing, yep, you're right. Carol says, what kind of tea? I think this is lavender. Lavender tea. There's no caffeine or anything. It's just for my throat. My throat's been sore for like, slightly sore for like 2 weeks. That's why you pour it not boiling. But no, I made the tea in the tumbler, so it was boiling. And then, I put some ice cubes in it to cool it down, but it's still boiling. So, what brand is that? Oh, yeah. It's a Contigo. Contigo. It works really good, and it was recommended to me. Yeah, this works good. So I have to cool it down. Even if I cool it down and like I made this tea over an hour ago, it's still the same temperature as when I put the lid on. Yeah, it works really good. Definitely would recommend. And then the nice thing is, see, now it's turned into a Contigo advertisement. Nice thing is I can hold it. It's cold. Like it's the air temperature. It's not like hot or anything. I could set it directly on my desk. The bottom is like the exact same temperature as the side, so it's not gonna like, make humidity all over my desk. It's really good. But if you call right now, we'll throw in a second Contigo absolutely free. Leave the lid off for a bit. Yeah, I did that. I did that too. It still is like, nope. Yeah, my throat's getting a little bit better though. It was kind of bad, I'd say like a week ago, whereas like it was actually hurting. But yesterday and today it hasn't hurt. It's just a little sore. Yeah, goes for a Korean lesson, ends with buying a Contigo. Yes. I feel like I do better at selling like products than my own books. I haven't even mentioned my own books yet. Like, buy a Contigo. But wait, there's more. I miss Billy Mays. Good old Billy Mays. Okay, great job, everyone. I was reading what you were writing, and you are correct. 타가 shows that one action happens interrupting the original action. So if you were to say 하다가 something, well, it means you were doing something, and while you're doing it, you didn't finish it, but this other thing happened. So basically, while something is still happening. So you can think of this form as kind of being like, in English, while. Although literally it's not necessarily while, but you can think of it like that, while. So action verb stem, while. So already we have so far, while doing action verb stem. 보다, to see, to look. Remember I said it kind of like you're looking back, you're thinking about it again, you're reflecting on it. That's sort of looking, seeing. So while you're doing something, you see, you look at it, you think about it. Think about it like think. Think. I can't speak English, okay? I'm a Korean teacher, not English teacher. So while you're doing something, you think about it and nika, you realize. So while you're doing something, you think about it and then you realize. If we contract that a little more, we can get while you're doing something. So taga, you stop, right? And you realize something. So I realized something while doing something. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to mean while, again, because taga doesn't really mean while. It can translate to while, but literally taga doesn't mean while, of course. It means after, right? You're doing something, it gets interrupted, you stop doing it, and you do something else. So you do this, and then you do that. Therefore, after is what taga really means, after doing something. So when you translate this form into English, you can either get while or after. So while doing something, I realized, or after doing something in the sense that you were doing it and you stopped, right? So either of these could work as a translation for it. That's the form. Isn't that easy? Well, there are some things we have to talk about though. Since this form uses taga, and since I said it can translate as either while or after, you have to keep in mind that this action that you're doing, it's only going to be something that is ongoing or still happening. As in, at least when you thought about it, when you're realizing it, it was still ongoing, right? So you're doing something, and you stop and think. So does that mean you were doing something really quick, like something you would do really quick once? No, it means something that you were already doing for a while, right? Because you can't taga something that you weren't already doing. You can't stop something if you hadn't started something. It's not something you did really quick. It's going to be something you were doing for a while. You stopped and you realized. So typically this will be something you've been doing for a long time, at least for a while, or something you've been doing continually. Okay, so now we have to talk about something else. I said that this is action verb stem. Well, actually, I did this just to help make the explanation simpler. It doesn't have to be an action verb. Any verb stem works with this, but I wanted to explain it with an action verb first so it can make a little bit more sense. So while you're doing something for a while, and you stop, and you think about it, and you realize something. So I realized after doing that, or I realized while doing that, would be a perfect way to translate this in your head. But what about with the descriptive verb? With a descriptive verb, you're not doing something. Instead, it's a state. What would be the word? Yeah, just a state. So being in a certain state for a while, or being in a certain state, and then you're stopping for a second after having been in that state for a long time, and you think about it and you realize. So this also works with descriptive verbs too. You can use any verb here. Well, pretty much. You can use any kind of verb. You can use both action verbs and descriptive verbs. So again, with action verbs, a natural way to translate this in your head would be, and after doing something, I realized, or maybe while doing something, I realized, right? With descriptive verbs, you can instead translate it as, write these down. Let me give you a second to write these down. Let me give you 3 ways you can translate this with descriptive verbs, because these are maybe not the most intuitive. Because if we translate this literally, with the descriptive verb, we get something like, in the middle of being something, I realized, right? Or after being something, I realized. Maybe that makes sense to you. I don't think it's a very intuitive way of understanding it. So I'm going to give you some translations for it. Okay. Seeing as you are, or seeing as I am, seeing as, given that. So seeing as, given that, and because or since. This actually works great as a because form. Just one more because form to add to the 5,000 there already are. Yes, because works very well too. And you'll see why it works when you start seeing the sentences, that because fits perfectly into the translations. So with an action verb, another natural way you can translate this is, and once I did something, or once I did something, or, and after doing something, so once or after. And another way you can translate this naturally with action verbs is, and before I knew it. Okay, these are just things you can write down. This will make more sense once you see the sentences, and knowing these natural translations will help you understand why someone would ever want to even use this. But literally, as long as you understand this form literally, you'll always at least get it. You might not be able to make a natural English translation, but you'll understand what it's saying always, because this is all the form is. It does not magically change its usage depending on what it's being used with, an action verb or a descriptive verb. It's always this. Just know what it means literally and you'll be fine in 100% of cases. But if you want to translate it nicely, write those down. Okay, so let's do our first example sentence then. What do you think? That sounds good to me. I know there are a bunch of beginners watching right now, or maybe some intermediates. Makes sense, huh? You can understand it still though, right? See, look at you using a advanced level form. Well, not using yet, but understanding an advanced level form. So let's do our first sentence. I'll start with something simple. So it's like really easy to see how it's being used. And then we'll do a little bit more complicated ones, but nothing too crazy. Actually, no, I want to leave it up here. I want to see if you get it first. I'm not going to finish the sentence. 한국에서, so in Korea, 살다 is to live. So 살다 or 살다가, 보니까 or 보니. You could see 살다가 보니, 살다 보니, 살다가 보니까. You know, you have a lot of options. So 살다 보니까. So I'm living in Korea. And while living in Korea, or maybe right after living in Korea, whatever, it's happening after you've been living in Korea for a while. 보니까, I looked back and I realized 한국에서 살다 보니까. So something like after living in Korea, I realized would be like a literal translation. How would you finish this sentence in English? You don't have to think too much in Korean yet. How would you finish this sentence in English? What sort of thing would you end this sentence with? After living in Korea for a while, I realized. Just curious. It's nothing like K-dramas. Yeah, you could realize that. You don't have to go to Korea to know that Korea is nothing like Korean dramas. In fact, I was so surprised when I first went to Korea. None of my friends had terminal brain injuries caused by a bullet slowly going into their brain. None of them. It was really shocking. Okay, how would you finish this sentence? Realized I don't know Korean? Not really. That's different because that's not something you realize that before you went to Korea. So it doesn't quite make sense in Korean because it doesn't logically make sense in Korean. If you say it in English, I realized I don't know Korean. That kind of sounds like a joke in English. But yeah, if you're saying that I lived in Korea for a long time and then I realized I don't speak Korean, it doesn't really make sense because you didn't realize it. You're just joking. Should also adapt a similar food delivery service. That is true. That is true. If you've lived in Korea, wow, the delivery is fantastic. You're hungry at like 2 in the morning. You just order food. Be at your door in like 30 minutes. I ordered. Oh, it was great. I ordered a package. I ordered a box of water like during my last trip when it was in the apartment. I ordered a box of water to get delivered. It was supposed to be the next morning at 4 a.m. And this was like, I think 4 p.m. that I was ordering it. So I was like, I could get it. That's great. I can get it, 12 hours from now. Order. 15 minutes later, I kid you not, 15 minutes later, duk, 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 택배요. Open the door, it's there. What happened was the driver was already out making deliveries, got the order in, it was on the way, he dropped off a box at our place and kept going. Okay, yeah, that's Korea. You get that sort of stuff isn't that unusual. I was like blown away. And my wife's like, oh yeah, that happens sometimes. I was like, no, it doesn't. That does not just happen. Well, in Korea it does. In the magical world known as Korea. Okay, you have some good examples for how you finish this sentence. Let me show you how I would finish it. Now, this sentence is kind of true. It's not really completely true, but... Okay. 한국에서 살다 보니까. So, living in Korea. So, while I was living in Korea for a while, I realized, or maybe after having lived in Korea for a while, either one works. So, let's just say, after living in Korea for a while, I realized 더운 날씨, hot weather. 익숙해졌어요. I got used to, 익숙하다, to be useful, 익숙해지다, to be used to, 익숙해지다, to get used to. So I had gotten used to the hot weather. So after living in Korea for a while, I got used to the hot weather. The translation, it makes sense. But if you think of it using one of our more natural translations, you'll understand why someone would use this sentence. So after living in Korea for a while, before I knew it, I had gotten used to the hot weather. Or, let's even make it a little more natural. While. Let's use while in the sentence. While living in Korea for a while, before I knew it, I'd gotten used to the hot weather. So living in Korea, after I had lived in Korea for a bit, before I knew it, before I realized it, something like that, before I knew it, I had gotten used to the hot weather. Now we have a really natural sounding sentence. So after having lived in Korea for a while, before I knew it, I'd gotten used to the hot weather. Yeah. Literally though, you can still understand the sentence as long as you understand the parts. So while I'm living in Korea, 살다, and then right after having lived in Korea, 보니까, I realized, remember? 니까 is like realized. So after having lived in Korea for a while, I realized that I had gotten used to the hot weather. Perfectly logical way to interpret the sentence, and at least you'll get it that way. At least it'll make sense. Even if you can't make a natural flowing sentence, you can at least understand the core meaning of this sentence by just knowing its parts. But yeah, again, this would be a sentence where before I knew it would be a nicer way to translate it. Okay, let's do another sentence. That was just our first one. I promise we'll have some more fun ones coming up, but okay. 아무 생각 없이. 걷다 means to walk. 생각 없이 걷다 보니까. Has this ever happened to any of you before? Maybe not with like walking, but maybe with like driving. Okay. 아무 생각 없이. So without any sort of thought, literally, this would be like without thinking about anything. You know, just kind of lost in your thought. You're like, oh, like not thinking about anything. So without any thought, 걷다 보니까, walking. So while I was walking, so after I walked somewhere, I was just walking without any thought, and I realized that 여기까지 왔어요. 여기 here, 까지, up to here, all the way up to here, all the way here. 왔어요. So I realized I got here, all the way here. Where am I? I came all the way up to here without even thinking about it. So I'm just walking without a thought, and then I realized that I had arrived all the way up to here. How did I get here? That sort of feeling. Again, literally, if you understand that, you've got it. If you want to make a more natural sentence, you can have something like, well, I was just walking without thinking about anything, and before I knew it, remember, before I knew it is a really nice way to translate it naturally. And before I knew it, I wound up here. So I was just walking without thinking about anything, and before I knew it, I wound up here. 아무 생각 없이 걷다 보니까 여기까지 왔어요. Yeah, before I knew it. Again, that's only with action verbs where these are natural translations. We'll take a look at some other, I think I should have, I guess before I knew it could be used with, I think I only have the, I think I only have the descriptive verbs in the worksheet. Let me check really quick. I think I have descriptive verb examples in the worksheet for the live stream. Let me just check. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Seeing as. Okay, I have one example of a descriptive verb. No, two examples. Two examples of descriptive verbs in the worksheet. If we have a lot of extra time today, I'll add one to the lesson. But these ones are all going to be action verbs that we're doing for this live stream. Okay, so let's go to the next one. But again, the meaning, the literal meaning is going to be the same. The only difference will be slightly in how you translate it to make it natural. But it's always going to be the same meaning. Oh, wait. I take it back. We do have one descriptive verb. Okay, no worries then. I was thinking like, oh no, I didn't put a descriptive verb in this lesson. I only put it in the worksheet. But no, I did put a descriptive verb in the lesson. It's good. I thought about everything. But anyway, the translation's the same. How would you translate this sentence? Give it a try on your own first. 너무 바쁘다 보니 전화를 할 시간도 없더라고요. 더라고요. This one is maybe like high beginner level form, low intermediate. 더라고요 is when you're just recalling something. I recall. It's not just, you can think of this as 없었어요 if you want. It's past tense. You're just saying, oh, I remember that. I recall that. I didn't. 없었어요. I didn't. That's all it is. I have a lesson about that if you're curious about it in more detail. 너무 바쁘다 보니 전화를 할 시간도 없더라고요. Like reading it like sideways and upside down. 너무 바쁘다 보니 전화를 할 시간도 없더라고요. How would you translate this? Go ahead and give it a shot. Oh, and someone already translated it. Hita, I was so busy I didn't even have time to call. You're missing translating 다 보니 though. Like that, you could translate seeing how busy I was. Yeah, you could do seeing as. Seeing as could work. 3 that I gave you again were seeing as or given that or because. It dawned on me. Nice. Nice way to add something in. That works too. Because again, ni, nika. The point of this form is I realized. Keep that in mind. So busy it didn't even realize the phone rang. There's no phone ringing in here. You're using 전화를 하다, which means to make a phone call. Basically, I didn't have any time to make a phone call. Okay, let's go over the sentence. 너무 바쁘다 보니. So I am too busy. So seeing as, or given that I'm so busy, in this case it's going to be was so busy because it's past tense. 전화를 할 시간, time to make a phone call. 시간도 없더라고요. I didn't even have the time to make a phone call. Given that, or seeing how I was so busy. Okay, we can even make this more natural. Because, again, literally, I'm so busy and I'm busy for a while. Like I'm not just busy for 1 second, but I've been busy. And then I stopped and I thought about it. And I realized, man, I'm busy. I'm so busy. So what did I realize? 전화를 할 시간도 없더라고요. I didn't even have time to make a phone call. So I realized, because I was so busy, I realized I didn't even have time to make a phone call. Okay. In this sentence, I think because or since would work as a nice translation. 전화를 할 시간도 없더라고요. I didn't even have time to make a phone call because or since I was so busy. In the sense that you're realizing all of this. You're realizing like, wow, I guess I was so busy I didn't even have time to make a phone call. That sort of feeling. You don't necessarily have to convey that realization into a word if you can convey it by your feeling, the nuance in your sentence. Saying, I couldn't call because I was too busy. Sounds different than, man, I couldn't even make a phone call. I was so busy. Right? One of them has that feeling of like you're kind of, it's retrospective. You're realizing it versus simply saying, I couldn't call because I was too busy. In which case, you don't even need to use this form. You just say, 너무 바빠서 전화를 할 시간도 없더라고요. Yeah, I didn't even have time to call because I was so busy. You're not saying that. You're saying I realized it. I was so busy. I didn't even have time. Wow, I didn't even have time to make a phone call. Kind of like you're realizing it to yourself. So in that case, because or since would work. If you're not able to convey that sort of emotion, then you can translate it as, given how busy I was, or seeing as how busy I was, seeing how busy I was, like that. 전화를 할 시간도 없더라고요. So 너무 바쁘다 보니 전화를 할 시간도 없더라고요. Seeing as I'm so busy, I didn't even have time to call. It works. A lot of Korean grammar, and you'll see more and more as you start getting better at speaking, a lot of Korean grammar just doesn't need to be translated if you can convey that nuance through the way you say something. Even the words can be the exact same thing, but the nuance can be different in how you say it, in both Korean and English. So yeah, keep that in mind that not everything has to be translated one-to-one. In fact, there's going to be nothing that translates one-to-one. As long as you can convey that feeling, that's the most important thing. Because again, everything is context dependent. Which is why making subtitles is so hard, because who are you making the subtitle for? You're making a subtitle for someone who speaks Korean? No, you're making a subtitle for someone who doesn't speak Korean. 보니. Let's fix that. What the heck is that? I was trying to write two words together at the same time. Okay, hopefully that's all on the screen. Yes, okay. 제가 아침에 잘 일어나지 못하다 보니 항상 버스를 놓쳐요. So, 제가 아침, in the morning, 잘, well, in this case, you can think of 잘 as meaning like easily, without any problems. So 일어나다, to wake up well or to easily wake up. So 일어나지 못하다, cannot wake up well, can't wake up so easily in the morning. Because I have a hard time waking up in the morning. Because I can't wake up easily in the morning. 제가 아침에 잘 일어나지 못하다 보니, seeing as how I have a hard time waking up in the morning, 항상, always, 버스를 놓쳐요. 놓치다 is to miss, as in missing a bus or an opportunity. So I always miss the bus, seeing as how I have a hard time waking up in the morning. So I always miss the bus because I can't wake up easily in the morning. If you can convey the nuance. Yeah, well, I always miss the bus because I can't wake up so easily in the morning. Something like that could work. Kind of conveys that, like, it's like retrospective. You're thinking about it. You're realizing it. I guess I always miss the bus because I always have a hard time waking up early in the morning. Something like that. Or, like I said, seeing as, or given that, or because, or and after doing something, before I knew it. All of these things are just helpers, but the literal meaning is always the same. So I'm not able to easily wake up in the morning for a while. And I realized I always miss the bus. So 제가 아침에 잘 일어나지 못하다 보니 항상 버스를 놓쳐요. So seeing as I always have a hard time waking up in the morning, I always miss the bus. Okay, how is this making sense so far? How are you doing? Is this okay? I always have to ask a little bit more often when we're doing an advanced lesson because, it's advanced. Let me know in the chat how you're doing while I write up this next sentence. So far, so good. Really good. I joined a few minutes ago. Seems to make a lot. Wow. That's impressive. I realize I always miss the bus because I always can't wake up in the morning. Yeah, that works, Fatih. Easier than expected. Nice. Not so good. Noir. No worries. It's the first lesson of yours I watched, and I got to say your explanations are great. Thank you. The only way to translate this naturally is to capture the vibe rather than the literal words. That is correct. And that's why I provided you with 5 different ways to translate it into English. But you have to pick based on what you feel is right, because the literal meaning is always the same. But in English, we tend to use different forms for different things. Okay. 요리도. So even cooking, 요리. 자꾸, repeatedly. If you keep doing it. 자꾸 하다 보니까. So someone, I guess you, because it's 더라고요, is your own observation, your memory, you're recalling something. So I recall that having done cooking repeatedly, I stopped and I realized 실력이 늘다 means skill. 실력, 늘다 is to improve. So I realized my skill, past tense, had improved. 요리도, also cooking. So I'm doing other things, but I realized that, after I kept doing cooking for a while, I realized, or before I knew it, I'd gotten better. 요리도 자꾸 하다 보니까 실력이 늘더라고요. So hey, I'm doing cooking a lot, and while doing it, I realized something. I realized, I've gotten quite good. I've gotten better. My skill has improved. Even cooking. Cooking, I do it often. I do it all the time, and I realize, I'm getting better at it. I didn't think I could get good at cooking. It's kind of what it implies here with the tool. Like, even cooking, right? Of course, not just cooking, but even cooking. Hey, if you keep doing it, I guess I've gotten better at it. That sort of meaning. Before you know it, before I knew it, I realized I'd gotten better. I didn't think I'd get good at cooking, but I realized, yeah, after doing it repeatedly, I've gotten better at it. 요리도 자꾸 하다 보니까 실력이 늘더라고요. It's true. I've never done cooking classes. I've never, gone to cooking school. Actually, that's not true. I did take one semester of home ec in junior high school where we did baking a little bit. But anyway, besides that, yeah, I've never taken classes. I got pretty good at some types of cooking because I just, keep doing it. You get good at stuff that you keep doing a lot. Okay. Oh, actually, it's not 잘하는데도. 신다 보니 Okay. 그 신발 means shoes. 작았는데, so those shoes were small. 작다. 신다 is to wear on your feet. So socks or shoes. 신다 보니 늘어나다. 늘어나다 is like to stretch out. So your clothes stretch. If you pull on your shirt, it'll stretch out. Or if you wear it a lot, it'll stretch. So it'll get, looser. 그 신발은 작았는데 신다 보니 늘어났어요. So those shoes were small. But after wearing them for a while wearing them, or maybe after wearing them, I realized something. They had stretched. Literal translation, but makes sense, right? More natural translation would be, those shoes were small, but after wearing them for a while, before I knew it, they had stretched. So at first they were small, but after wearing them for a while, I realized they'd stretched. Before I knew it, I realized the shoes had stretched a bit. Before I knew it, they'd stretched. Like that. However you want to translate, it's up to you. You can say, seeing as I wear them a lot, they stretched out. You could even use one of the descriptive verb translations for that. Given that I wear them a lot, or because I wear them a lot, it could work. Not with every sentence, but you're not really limited in how you can translate it. It's as long as you get the feeling of it, as long as you get the main meaning that you're doing something for a while because it's taga, and you realize something, then you've got it. That's it. That's what this form is. And in fact, if you realize this very well, that this is realizing something, if you remember this part, realizing, you're going to get the whole sentence. In fact, if you get this part, realize, with nika, if you remember that, you're going to understand this form, 해보니까 and 고보니까. All of those, because they all work the same way. They are all just a product of pieces put together, like Legos. This is one Lego piece using taga. There's another Lego piece using the try form, like 해보니까. And there's another Lego piece using the 고보니까 form, which is the 고 and connector. So as long as you understand the core, realization, you're going to get all of these forms pretty easily. It's just a matter of being able to use them yourself, not understanding when other people use them. Okay. 그 신발은 작았는데 신다 보니 늘어났어요. So those shoes were small, but, after wearing them, I realized, or before I knew it, after wearing them, before I knew it, they had stretched. Okay. Next sentence. We have 2 more sentences for this form, and then we're going to talk about a couple other forms for a second. Actually, let's write this down here. Okay, I think that's good. Yes. Let's check the chat for a second. It's like 3 for 1. Yeah, but I don't want to cover all 3 because it's too much. But we will do a quick review of all 3, actually, right after I finished with one more sentence. We're going to do a review of all of those forms because I can't help it. It's too tempting to me to connect things together like that when I find connections. 무거운 접시만 들다 보니 무거운 접시, heavy plates. So you're only carrying a bunch of heavy plates all the time. And 들다, so you're doing it for a long time. You're carrying them a lot. You're carrying them all the time. You're carrying them literally more like for a while. So you're carrying heavy plates all the time. So after doing that, I realized something. 팔 힘, my arm strength. 세다 is to be strong. 세지다 is to get strong. So 세졌어요. I realized my arms had gotten stronger. Literally, my arm strength had gotten stronger. I used to work at Baskin Robbins when I was in high school, and I would always scoop ice cream with my right hand. And after working there for like a year or so, like my right hand, like, you know, had some decent like muscle on it. My left hand was like super weak. So after I'd worked there for like a year and realized that, I started switching and using only my left arm. So that way they'd be kind of, you know, evened out. And so I would alternate after that, and that helped. 무거운 접시만 들다 보니 팔 힘이 세졌어요. So after only picking up heavy plates for a long time, you know, after carrying heavy plates all the time, I realized, or maybe before I knew it, my arms had gotten stronger. 무거운 접시만 들다 보니 팔 힘이 세졌어요. Okay. One more sentence and for this form, and then we're going to go on to compare those three forms I just mentioned really quick. Because although it's true they are just combinations of those pieces, that doesn't mean that that's the only explanation you need in order to use them properly. Okay, 처음에는, so at first, 이해가 되다 means to be understood, or you can think of it like to make sense. It's just a common verb, 이해가 되다. So 이해가 안 됐는데, so at first it didn't make sense, but 됐는데, 계속, continually 듣다, to listen or to hear it. So after I kept listening to it for a while, 듣다, for a while, 보니까 I realized that 이해가 되네요. It makes sense. So at first it didn't make sense, but after listening to a while, I realized it makes sense. Maybe this was like your experience with this grammar form today. 다 보니까. 처음에는 이해가 안 됐는데 계속 듣다 보니까 이해가 되네요. At first I didn't understand, but after listening to it for a while, it makes sense. Or you can say something like, at first I didn't understand, but after I kept listening to it, before I knew it, it made sense. 처음에는 이해가 안 됐는데 계속 듣다 보니까 이해가 되네요. It makes sense. Okay. That is our last sentence for this form. But now I want to talk briefly about how this form is different than some other forms. So we've got 다가 보니까 from today, which again is 다가 보니 with 가 optional. We also have 해 보니까, again, same 니까. And then we also have 고 보니까. So these are three forms that are, this one's more intermediate. This one's advanced, this one's advanced, this one's intermediate. This one's also on the vote. So if you want this next time, let me know. If you vote for that, then we can get it for next Sunday. These are slightly different. So how are they different? I'm not going to write this down on the board because there's no space. And if we do a lesson about this one and this one, don't worry, we'll get another refresher on how they work. I just wanted to give you this so that you have some reference, even if you don't watch these other videos that we're going to be making. Even if you don't learn anything else, at least you'll kind of know how they're different. So we talked about this one today, 다가 보니까. That one shows that somebody realizes something while doing something, or maybe after doing something for a while, or after they're doing it frequently, right? Because it has 다가. So you're doing something, and then while you're doing it, which has to be something you've been doing for a while already, or else you're not going to be stopping it to do something else. So this shows while you're doing something, you realize something. Okay. 해 보니까. So this would be like 하다 would become 해. 해 보니까. This form, also using 니까, shows that someone realizes something. Just like this shows someone realizes something. And this one shows that someone realizes something. This one shows that someone realizes something after they've tried to do something for their first time. And the key to that is here. 해 보다, which is the try form. 먹어봐. Try it. Literally eat it and see. 해 봤어요. I tried it. 한국에 가봤어요. I tried going to Korea. Typically is used when it's your first time trying something. You're not going to say, here, try this food that you eat every day. You wouldn't say 먹어봐 if you're pineapple that your friend eats every day. This would be like special pineapple or maybe a different fruit they've never tried. Give it a try for your first time. So this shows after trying to do something, you realize. Okay? Pretty simple. Of course, you want a lesson to see how it's used in sentences, but that's what it means. And then finally, 고 보니까. What is the 고 form? This 고 form is and, right? This is used to connect this is used to connect two verbs. So you can say something like 학교에 가고 친구를 만났어요. Like today, what I did was I went to school and then later, I met my friend. Doesn't mean at school, it just means and then. So one thing happens and then something else happens. So after you do something, completely after you finish doing it, not while you're doing it, but after it's done, then you realize something. And typically this one is used for something especially unexpected. So this won't just be like, after living in Korea, I got used to the hot weather. Unless you want to say it was like, really unexpected what happened. No, it's kind of like implying, you live in Korea for a while, you'll get used to the weather. This is like saying, I never realized that before. This is really unexpected. This is really unexpected. So this is used for something that's more unexpected, like more big realizations. But same idea. After you've done something, while doing something, after you try doing something for your first time. Okay, so that's the difference between these three forms. And of course, we haven't yet done a live stream about these two yet. This one's on the live stream list for the vote, so you can get that later if you want. This one's not on it yet, but it will be on the next time I make a new set of votes. We can get this one. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. And that is the lesson for today. Thanks for coming. Of course, feel free to stick around. If you have any questions, right now I'm starting a short Q&A for the next 15 minutes. We finished early today. If the lesson made sense to you, give yourself a round of applause. This was an advanced level lesson. So if it makes sense and you feel okay about it, give yourself a big pat on the back. You're doing an advanced level topic today. So yeah, thanks for coming and feel free to ask questions. We have a Q&A right now. And yeah, small. The second is after you try. Specifically, it's going to be like after you try something for the first time, because that's how 보다 is used anyway. Like, hey, I tried doing this. I tried it. Implying like, I hadn't tried it before. But yeah, it's after you try doing something. It's just 해 보다 plus 니까. Realization. Again, realization. That's the key. Oh, hey, verbose. Very verbose, Park. Thank you, verbose, for the donation. I'm going to do 5 dabs for your $5 donation. Oh, I also have a small announcement. Well, let me move this light back. I don't know why it's so close. Next week, there will be live stream. The next week after that, there won't be a live stream. The next week after that, there will be a live stream. And the next week after that, again, there won't be another live stream. So live stream schedule is always available in the Google Doc, the same Google document that has all of our live streams in it. If you want to know, is Billy teaching a class this day? Check that document. Go to the very bottom. If I have an entry for that day, it means I will be teaching. So you don't have to worry if I'm going to be doing a live stream on this day or this day. It's always in there. For next week's, we'll have a live stream about whatever topic you pick in the vote. But the next week after that, We're not going to have a live stream because we're taking a break. I always take a break after doing 3. So this is the second one, and then next week is our third one, and then we take a break. After that, I'll start again, so I'll do another 3. However, I'm only going to be doing 1 first because the second time I have to go down to the airport to pick up my wife. So I'm not going to be having a live stream the next Sunday after that. But yeah, check out the live. And then after that, I might be going to Korea again. So I won't have a live stream then for like 3 or 4 weeks. So yeah, always check out the Google document to find out what's going on. And of course, I'll update you every live stream. But in case you missed the live stream or you missed the part of the live stream where I said the next live stream, don't worry about that. Always just check the Google Doc. If you see a date listed, it means there is a live stream that day. If there is no date listed yet, it means there is not a live stream scheduled yet. I might add one later. I'll always add it at least a week or 2 in advance, but there isn't one currently scheduled. So if I end up going to Korea again in November, which is my current plan, going there for like 3 weeks or so, then while I'm in Korea, there's not going to be live streams during those 3 weeks. Okay, that's all I needed to announce. Victoria Jakubowska. Victoria Jakubowska. Thank you for the lesson, Billy. No dab needed. Thank you. I don't know how much you sent me. PLN. PLN. Like typing sideways. That's like $2. Cool, thank you. Victoria. No dabs necessary? Okay, I won't dab then. If you tell me not to dab, I won't dab. Otherwise, I'm going to dab. Did I dab for Verbo? I don't think I dabbed for Verbose Park yet. If I did, then you get double. I just had a blank. I might have already done it. If so, you get double. Billy has collabed with Hyunwoo. Yes, I collab with Hyunwoo every time I go to Korea. At least I try to. He usually, he'll block my calls, but I have plenty of burner phones, so I can get around that. So as soon as he picks up, I'm like, don't hang up. I'm coming to your office tomorrow. He'll be like, oh, okay. So yeah, I always try to collab with Hyunwoo every time I go to Korea. I don't know what I could collab with him this time yet. I haven't planned it yet. But if you have any suggestions, what you'd like me to collab, if there's videos you'd like to see, if you'd like to see a travel video about a specific place, or a interview on the street about a specific topic, or a video with a specific YouTuber, anything, just let me know. Please let me know well in advance, because I have to plan early. I have to plan like a month before I even go to Korea, because it's going to be a short trip. Hey, Raina, 2410. Raina, thank you. Let's give you 5 dabs for Raina. Oh, and another one just came in. Bonnie Runsfield. Thank you, Bonnie. I'm going to do your dabs first, and then I'm going to read what you wrote. That way I can pay more attention to it instead of having to do dabs right away. Bonnie, hold on 1 second. Thank you. And now let's see what Bonnie wrote. Thank you so much for doing advanced lessons too. I'm glad you like them. I appreciate it so much. You don't even know. Keep it up. Now let's do a fun riddle. 내 마리에 고양이가 괴물이 되면? Is this a Korean joke or an English joke? It's not going to be something like 내 머리 or something like that, right? Four-headed cat. What do you call a four-headed cat? I'm not sure if I need to think about this in English or Korean. That's why. If it's in Korean, the first thing that comes to mind would be 내 말이야. Like, that's what I'm saying, 내 말이, but I don't think it's that. If it's an English joke, what would be a four-headed cat? Really annoying. That's for sure. Shedding everywhere. Sitting on your laptop and your homework at the same time. I don't know. What's the answer? 사냥? I guess you could do 사냥. 사냥 would be like hunting, though. Hint, English. Okay, English is the hint. Pokemon. Don't say like Poket or something like Pokemon. Like for cat. Yang Yang? I don't think so. I don't know. Tell me what's the answer. I don't know what was Bonnie's riddle. Is it right? Is it Pokemon? That's so dumb. I hate when I guess it. I hate when I guess the riddle correctly, but I'm not satisfied with the answer. I'm like, it's not Pokemon, right? Or something like that. Okay. I'm usually... Yeah, I know cats are also called Nyang, but I couldn't think of any sort of Nyang word that would match with the answer for that. Because like, Ponyang, Sanyang, that doesn't really fit as a joke answer. They told you, Billy? Did someone tell me? I for the record, I got it myself. I didn't get any hints except for her saying English. I got that. English. The rest was because a lot of Korean jokes tend to use po for four. That's the only thing that led me to for poket. So I'm like poket, like four cats. I'm like, well, there's only one thing for poket, that's Pokemon. Pokemon. But anyway. Four cat monster. Yeah, Pokemon. So four cat monster. Yeah, four cat monster. Okay. Yeah. That's a bad joke, but because you donated, I'm gonna laugh. Good one, Bonnie. Okay. Any other questions? 빌리 씨는 탭하다 보니까 건강해졌어요. If you could see that I had gotten healthy, but I don't know. I don't think it would work because how would you comment he's gotten healthier after dabbing? You might say skinnier. He's gotten skinnier, like he's lost weight. That's something you could make an observation about. But saying someone else has gotten healthier doesn't work. You could say looks healthier, but not gotten, because you wouldn't know. Like just in English, you wouldn't say like, seeing as Billy does dabs a lot, he's gotten healthier. You typically don't say someone got healthier. Just for more natural English, you'd say they look healthier, or like they look skinnier, or they look happier, or something sort of that you can observe. So look. You can say like 맨날 답만 하다 보니까 날씬해졌어요. You know, 살 빠졌어요. 살 많이 빠졌어요. Like, you know, before I realized it, before I knew it, I'd lost a lot of weight. I'd gotten skinny, you know, after having just doing dabs all the time, that sort of thing. You could say like that. Sure. Don't forget to pose for a thumbnail. Oh, thank you, Anselmnida. Thank you so much, Anselmnida. Thank you. Oh, where would I be without Anselmnida? Okay, we need a pose for the... What should the pose be? What should I do for the pose? Let's make sure. What should I got to pose for the thumbnail. What should I be doing? Anselmnida, what do you think I should be doing for the pose? Like... Maybe that? Let me like clap so I can find it later when I'm editing. A big heart. A big heart. Kat, I asked the donations. Ask a question in between the donation. Yeah, I probably missed a lot of questions that were asked. Put your hat backwards. Realize something. Pretend to teach. Flower pose. Stitch. Stitch wants me to do a meditating pose. A meditation pose. Your realization when you understand the Pokemon joke. That'd be like that. Okay, I could do a heart. Okay, that could be a thumbnail. The other one was me teaching. Drinking from your Contigo cup. I don't always drink tea, but when I do, I prefer Contigo. Oh, it's the wrong side. It's still boiling. It's still really hot. Okay. If you forget, if you only remember one thing from this whole lesson, remember, contigo tumbler. Yes, no. Remember that nika means realizing, and you will always remember this form. Get angry at the camera. Okay, let's see. Small has an actual question. When things are optional, like the ga, or the ka or ka in this form, do you have to use them when speaking formally? No. In fact, Small, if you want a tip about that, with ka, so first of all, you asked about taga with ka. This one's completely optional. Zero difference in formality, whether you use it or don't. The only nuance is it makes it sound slightly more fancy, but not a lot. Slightly more, though, if you use it. Zero difference, though, in meaning. It doesn't make it, like, wrong. This one, however, adding the ka gives your sentence a slightly, casual is not the right word, informal is a better word. Adding ka gives your sentence a little bit more of a spoken feel to it, like an informal, just everyday speaking. And removing it makes it sound slightly more formal. But don't worry about it. You can use it or remove it if you want. And that's not only with this form, that's anytime you see unika, period. It's the same form. Even with because, it's the same form originally. So yeah, if you want to remove it, it's slightly more formal. So you might see ni used more in writing, but it's not wrong to say it. Kat has an interesting question. Kat, let's take a look at Kat's question. I said I was talking to a Korean the other day in yo form. So they're using the yo form to you. And when I said I was a foreigner, they swapped to formal 입니다. They swapped because they didn't think you actually spoke Korean. That's the sad reality of it. And it happens to everyone. It happens to me too. Online. If you're not able to show online that you speak Korean, and it's hard because they can't talk with you, right? They can only see you write like a couple sentences. So until they know that you actually speak Korean, so until they've actually spoken with me for more than a second, in their mind, they think foreigner doesn't speak Korean well. And I understand it. It's rare for people to speak Korean in Korea well. It's common for people to speak some Korean, some. Although most people still don't speak any, it's common for people to know some basic Korean. It is rare for people to be able to have full conversations. So their default expectation is, this is a foreigner. They will not understand me if I use my regular Korean. Therefore, how can I speak simply to this person so that they'll understand me? I'm going to use 입니다, 합니다. I'm going to say words like 당신, 그, 그녀, which are not used in Korean, but I'm going to say them because I think these are easy to translate from English to Korean. So this will help them understand what I'm saying. I'm not going to use slang expressions. I'm going to use simpler grammar. I'm going to mix 나는 with 입니다 because I know they'll know 나는. They might not know 저. 저 is polite. Only fluent speakers will know 저. This is kind of the thinking that they have. But na is the regular word for me. They'll know that. So they'll switch. They'll use wrong Korean because they think it helps you to understand. It's not a bad thing. They're trying to help. They're trying to be considerate. Just like, picture this. You're traveling in a foreign country and you're lost. So you call out, "Hello, excuse me. Can someone speak English?" Okay, you're just lost. You're in a foreign country, so you yell that out. Maybe it's in Korea. Someone comes up to you and says, "I speak English. I speak English." Are you going to say, "Oh, thank goodness, I've been looking every day for someone to speak English. I just really have this quick question. I'm trying to get over here. Do you know whether I should take the A route or the B route on this map?" Are you going to do that? No. Until you know their level of English, you're going to say, "Oh, thank you. I want to find this building." And you're not using natural English, are you? This is not natural. No one says this. You'd say like, hey, I'm trying to get to here, or do you happen to know where this is, right? No, you're using this. And then when they tell you, they're like, oh, you can speak normal. I'm from LA, you know. Where are you from? As soon as you get that, as soon as you figure that out, then you'll be like, oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, you know, I'm just visiting here for the holidays with my friend. Oh, meet my wife. You know, like you can do this stuff after you know their level. But before you know that, a Korean's default is, let's make this language as simple as possible so they understand me. So they're trying to be polite. It's done in good faith. But to a learner who already knows that, it comes across as condescending. Like, why are you doing this? I just spoke some Korean to you. Why would you speak poorly back to me when I'm trying my best to speak naturally to you? And it's the same thing. They don't know how good your Korean actually is. And they can't know that with a few quick messages. You have to talk for a while. So with me, sometimes what I actually do, because I'm sick of it, I want Koreans to just speak, native Korean speakers to speak to me normally. It's a waste of our time to have them speak to me, you know, really basically, and then 5 minutes later find out I could have understood whatever they said. And then they feel like, oh, I feel dumb by speaking so simply to you. I don't want to waste our time with that. I'll sometimes just say, hey, let's call, or send a voice message right over, speaking in Korean. Then they know, oh, okay, you can speak Korean. Cool. Skips the whole thing. They go straight to their full Korean. Great. It's good for everyone. They're happy. I'm happy. But if you're just saying a few phrases and maybe it's not perfect, they might think you don't speak Korean at all because they don't know. They haven't spoken to you long enough to know your level. So that's what's going on. Hopefully that helps answer the reason. 저는 사회주의 나라에서 살다 보니까 부작용이 참 많은 것 같습니다. 부작용 would be like symptoms of something. Like you get sick and there are like side effects of something. Sorry, not symptoms. Side effect would be a better translation for 부작용. 버스를 타다 보니 집에 문을 잠그기 잊어버렸어요. That's not something you realized while getting on the bus though. Like it's not something that getting on the bus was something that you realize. It doesn't have to do with getting on the bus. You would just say, I got on the bus and I realized. You would just literally say, I forgot, or I remembered that, because getting on the bus didn't have to do with anything with you realizing. Remember the literal meaning of the sentence. You're getting on the bus, and while you're getting on the bus, you're doing it for a while. So it also doesn't make sense. Are you getting on the bus for a while? Like, are you like the sloth from the DMV in Zootopia? It doesn't work. You can't use tada with this form because it's not something you're doing often. Unless you're talking about your experience every day riding and getting on the bus, then I realize that I always, like, it would sound really vague. So no, you can't do that for a couple reasons. The main reason though being, it doesn't work grammatically because of the taga form in there. It has to be something that you've been doing for a while, not something you do once, like wearing a piece of clothing. Unless you're saying like after wearing it every day, in which case, yeah, like, you know, I always wear this shirt and after, well, 입다 보니까 I got used to it. You know, I kind of like it now. That sort of thing is okay because you're talking about doing it for a long time, frequently, or for a while, not once, like getting on a bus. So. Korean told me 그는, and I was like, what's that? Yeah. Sometimes you'll see those words, 그는 or 그녀는, used by Koreans who are trying to speak simply to a non-Korean, but they are not Korean words. I mean that as in they're never used in actual Korean. Sounded like you spoke French for a second. Oui, je parle français un peu, mais seulement un peu. Yes. 오늘의 수업은 재밌는데 벌써 쉬더니 자러 갔어. I don't quite get it. I kind of understand what you're trying to say, but I'm not sure what the ending is supposed to be. It's not wee with a W, it's an OUI. 왜? 하다 보니까 습관이 되었습니다. Sure. After I did it for a while, it had become a habit. Okay. All right. I think that's good for today. Any other really quick questions? And then we're going to sign off. I got to start editing this video. And if you're a member, which many of you are, the little green people in the chat, you can check out the video tonight after probably about 4 hours from now, it'll be up on my channel. Oui, oui. 콘티고를 고로 맛이, I don't know what that is. 콘티고로? What is that? Can I say so now? Yes, go to the bathroom, Julia. Go to the bathroom. Lucas, I love your content. How can I support you? Donations? Buy my merchandise? Buy my books? Send me a donation directly from my website. You can also join my channel. There's like a membership button. You can join my Patreon. Lots of ways to support me. You can buy me lunch if you see me in Korea. 빌리의 얼굴을 계속 바라보다 보니 사랑에 빠졌네. Thanks. Sure, Jared, sure. Contigo. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, this sounds familiar, but this brand, I didn't know it in Korean. Contigo, the cup. Yes. Do you sell the hat? No, but if you go to the Talk to Me in Korean office, I'm not going to tell you where it is. If you find out where the Talk to Me in Korean office is, I left a hat there. So maybe you can try to steal it from them. They have one of my actual hats. Maybe one day I'll auction off one of my hats. I have an extra one. I have one extra one. So maybe I'll auction it off. You know, like a donation. I don't know. I would say donate to charity, but then I'm like, I really need to buy a new camera. So like, charity can wait. I really need a camera. Maybe I'll auction off a hat in the future. I don't know. But yeah, currently no, there are no hats for sale. Because they're all custom. 방송을 보다 보니까 1시간 넘게 됐네요. Nope, that wouldn't work as either. I would recommend rewatching this later when it goes up on the channel, Ayakata. Since the issue with the sentence is your usage of taga, that form. Somewhere, Hyunwoo is walking around with Billy's hat. No, actually, he's not. I think it's just sitting in their closet. I don't think anyone is wearing it. All right. So, thank you everyone for coming. Again, if you have suggestions of videos you'd like to see me film next time I'm in Korea, places you'd like me to go, people you'd like me to meet, or just topics you'd like to learn about, or travel videos or food videos, please let me know as soon as you can, because I'm planning to make another trip to Korea in November, and I have to plan everything in advance. So if you tell me something while I'm in Korea, oh, you should do a video while you're there, it's too late. I already won't be able to do it. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming, and I will see you again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.